Hey, Mr. Mustafa.
Hey, how are you, Mr.
Well,
Bucker?
I think we should introduce ourselves. My name is Ahmad, and Bakr, as you said, and you are,
That's it. That's your introduction. My name is Ahmed Bucker.
well,
That's what do you do? Where are we?
we'll get to this part. We'll get to this part.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's
Cool.
just,
Cool. All right. So my name is Mustafa Sibai.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think, like, from the descriptions that will be on this video or this podcast or whatever that is, we are both game developers
We are
and,
both game developers.
yes,
Yes.
sort of, and teachers.
And lecturers. Yeah.
Yes, which
We
is
have a
a
lot in
weird mix,
common.
indeed.
It is. I
And,
mean, most people who do game development, or a bunch of people who do game development who are not very successful at game development, they teach.
makes sense.
So yeah, there you go.
And teaching is fun as well.
Teaching is very fun if you have good students. That is,
Yeah, true.
you know,
True.
yeah,
A bad student can make teaching the worst experience ever, but a good
absolutely
batch
the worst.
makes it super, super rewarding.
I
But
agree.
aside from teaching, like podcast, like this podcast is called "Follow the Spiders," right?
Indeed, follow all the spiders.
But before we talk about "Follow the Spiders," why podcast? Like, why did we start the podcast anyway?
There are a lot of podcasts out there. A lot of podcasts. A lot of people do that.
But this is not
I
the
don't
reason
know.
to start a podcast, right?
That is definitely not the reason. That is the opposite reason.
So, what is the reason, Mr. Mustafa?
Why did we start a podcast? I mean, it's fun. We want to talk about like interesting things like game development, technology, life in general. We have a bunch of stories that can help people in the industry and how to find jobs. A lot of people are struggling to find jobs after they graduate college. They don't know how to get their CV ready. They don't know how to do certain things in game development. I think we can help. We can add some value to that.
Okay, nice, nice. Very diplomatic answer.
Very, very.
And
What do you think? What about you? What do you think?
well, for me, I don't know. Like, I don't plan things. Like,
Right.
I just do them. Like at one point, I was like, I should start a podcast, and that's it. Like, I didn't even have a reason or what this podcast is going to be about. It just, why not?
Well, here we are. Exactly. Why not?
Yeah, I'm
Why
very good
not?
at starting things. I'm not good at finishing them, but I'm very good at starting things.
I
And this
think
is actually the
that's
theme of this episode: beginnings or
yeah,
startings, right?
yeah. Starting a lot of things, not finishing them. I think that's a very common thing between everyone. Everyone
Yeah.
in game development. Yeah.
I don't think everyone. Like, I know a lot of people who don't start something be- unless they know they can finish it. It's like those are the
Oh,
exception, I
really?
think. Yeah.
Most of the people that I know on the internet, they always start stuff and never finish them. Just
Maybe
dead
this
projects.
is because you are in your own bubble. Like, all of us are in our own tech bubble to a sense, right? Like, we know people who are like us. Like, you don't finish things, I don't finish things, and this is why we know each other, sort of. Like, we
Hey man,
don't be friends if you're not similar to some extent, right?
I'm insulted. I finish things all the time. Have you not seen all my published game engines and video games that are out there? You know?
So what are you doing here? Just go and continue finishing your things.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
start the
lying.
podcast, you'll not be able to.
That is true. That is true.
I really liked your answer regarding why starting a podcast. So I'm going to ask you,
Yes.
why follow the spiders?
Well, we were thinking about we were figuring out what to call this podcast. I got a bunch of answers. I feel like when you suggested follow the spiders, two things came in my head. One, Harry Potter. There's the scene in Harry Potter where Hagrid tells Harry to go follow the spiders, and I thought that's a brilliant idea because I love Harry Potter. That's one. Two is because I am large and have long hair, and I look like Hagrid. So I thought this is perfect. This is the perfect answer. Yeah, a lot of my students they call me Hagrid. So yeah.
I'm getting called worse things. I think you know one of them. A lot of people for some reason call me Princess Leia.
Princess Leia?
Yes, because the way I bought my headphone when they're not on my ears. So I have an issue. I'm a little bit fat on the neck area, So I cannot
Right.
really put my large headphones on my neck.
Right.
So where they end up being is they end up being on top of my head, like bangs, which is like I've been called
I
multiple
see.
things.
I
Hellboy
see.
at one point,
Right.
and behind my back, it turns out I was either called Ahmad headphones or sometimes Princess Leia. So it's I think Hagrid is much better than Princess Leia. Is what I'm going to say.
I call you Mickey Mouse in front of you. I've never called you Mickey Mouse in front of anyone other than you.
Yeah, you call me Mickey Mouse as well.
Mickey
Yeah, I've been called
Mouse.
Mickey Mouse as well. Like I forgot this one.
Yeah.
For me, following the spiders, of course, come from Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter, but I'm not
Right.
Hagrid, so maybe I
Right.
should come up with something like Star Wars reference instead, or maybe Hellboy reference, but or Mickey Mouse reference.
Right.
The big mouse. But for me, like it's when Ron is telling Harry like, why follow the spiders? Why not follow the butterflies?
Yeah.
And this is like, what kind of interesting story or interesting something ever come from following the butterflies? Like,
Nothing.
why?
Nothing.
Like
Yeah.
following the spider is a good premise. Like
Yeah.
following the spider, this is an adventure. Like this is the beginning of an adventure. But following the butterfly, like, you just follow the butterfly, you keep jumping around and just, eh.
That is true. That is very true.
I really didn't like following the butterfly. Like I really like follow the spiders. Like it seems more, whatever that means.
Adventurous.
Adventurous,
Adventurous. Exactly.
So-
Yes. Yes.
I wanted our podcast to be adventurous, and this is why I like follow the spiders. And you love being called Hagrid, and this is why
Of
you
course.
like follow the spiders. But
I
at the end
mean-
of the day, follow the spiders is our podcast name, right?
I agree. Yep. Yep. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, what are we following today? I mean, I know we're following the spiders, but what to where? Where's the spider taking us?
So every episode is going to be like following the spiders to something. Like for example, this today is following the spider to the beginning because this is the beginning of the podcast.
Right.
So basically, what we're going to be doing today is discussing our beginnings in different things, right?
Right.
Like-
Okay.
Why did you decide to become a programmer, for example? When did you find out that you want to be a game developer? Like, what happened in your life? Like, when did you do? Like, why starting a podcast? We already covered this. Why?
Right.
Why going in game development? When did you start teaching things like this? We're just chatting a little.
Okay.
It's nothing
Okay.
big. Like, it's just
All right.
going through different beginnings, discussing hypotheses. So I think today's episode is follow the spider to the beginning or to the start. Like, it depends on which one will.
I like it.
Nice.
All right. Do you want to start or should I start?
Yeah, let's go. So, Mr. Mustafa,
Hello. This is me.
when did you decide to go into programming? Like, let's forget about game development. Let's start from programming. Was it game development first and programming second? Like, how did this?
Well, it really didn't start with programming. It started with, funny enough, I was 4 years old or 6 year old, something along these lines. My mother bought me a toy. And the first thing that I did was take a hammer and smash it because I wanted to know how it works on the inside.
So you started as an engineer, not as an programmer.
Exactly. I started as an engineer. And ever since then, I've been like fascinated with computers and how they work. And I really wanted to understand how they work. And so when actually I was deciding whether to go into computers, I didn't know whether to go into hardware or software. And I remember going to my dad and asking him, hey, I mean, I've asked a bunch of people at that point whether I should go into hardware. And everyone was like,
Smart thing to do. Like, not just going on your own and deciding, like asking others. Of course, there was no internet back then, so there is no
yeah,
Reddit to ask. So going and asking your friends, family is the smart thing.
yeah. And so I would go and ask, hey, what should I go with? And my dad was like, okay, what are the prospects? If you go into hardware, what are you going to do? Like, well, if I'm lucky, I would work at Intel or AMD making chips. I was like, okay, what about software? Well, software, I can make software. And he was like, okay, well, go to software. I think it's best. It's nicer. It's, you can just make software. Let's go into software. I was like, okay, you know what? Sounds like a great idea. I went to software. And yeah, that's how it kind of started. I most people start with programming early age, or most people who are like brilliant or really good at what they do, they start early age. I started with computers at the early age. I understood like networking and hardware, what RAM is and CPU and things like that. I knew that at early age, and I've done a bunch of hacking things that we'll talk about at some point.
Let's leave this for
But-
later.
Let's leave
It's
that
an
for later.
interesting story as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I started in college, 2010. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Really nice story. For me, like, I never knew what I wanted to do. Like, I started like tinkering with things, disassembling things and assembling them, fixing them. Not really, but like let's just say fixing them, because most of the time I was breaking them, not fixing them, but breaking them even more than they are broken. So I started tinkering as well, and I loved computer ever since I was introduced to one. And I was introduced to one because my father used to leave me with a friend of his who owned a computer center or something like this. So he left me there a couple of times, and this is where I started loving computer. But I never planned to work with computer. Like, I loved everything regarding computers, but it was never my plan to be a computer engineer or a computer or programmer or whatever. Like, I never planned it, but I loved it. Like, I loved dealing with computers, playing games on computer. I loved, but I never considered becoming a game developer. I only considered becoming a game developer when I became a game developer, which is weird enough. But yeah, so for me, it was not like planned, or I didn't go as people. I just moving with the current, and the current led me to becoming a programmer.
Right.
I used to read a lot of magazines, like computer magazines.
Oh my God, Windows Magazine. Do you remember
For me, it
Windows
was Nova
Magazine?
Class, not Windows Magazine. And they used to give us those CDs with a lot of programs.
Yeah.
Most of them was cracked applications, but back
Yeah.
then, like, there was not really this.
And a bunch of demos for games.
And a lot of demos for games. And
Yeah.
at one point, there was a Linux CD. And this is when I started breaking our home computer. A lot. Like, erasing everything. You know, the stories of people first time installing Linux and erasing their entire hard drive. Me.
Right.
Like, I erased our entire hard drive multiple times because I was trying to install Red Hat, which was 7 CDs.
Oh my
And
God.
every time I bought it, like maybe CD5, CD7 have a corrupt.
CD or floppy?
No, CDs. Like, because
Why
back
is it
then,
so
there was
large?
Okay, you know, now there is repositories that you can just download anything from.
Right.
Back then, the entire repository was on the CD. So
Okay.
everything was in the CD. And when you're installing, it takes something from CD1, CD2, CD3. It's like
Okay.
taking part.
Okay.
It was a very bad thing because if you have a scratch on one of the CDs, that's it.
You're dead.
You're
Done.
dead. And now you have to go buy another 7 back in order to try and find something that works. So I broke things a lot. But I never planned to be a programmer.
Right.
Even when I entered like college, like for me, I entered engineering, not computer science, just
Yeah.
pure engineering. And my plan was to become a mechanical engineer,
Right.
not even programming or anything.
My plan was to be a pilot when I entered college. So yeah, I see we crossed the same paths. All right, that's cool.
We are just trying different things.
Yeah.
And then I didn't go to mechanical engineering. I went to communication or electrical engineering. And my plan was going to communication.
Mm-hmm.
Then I entered the wrong class. Like, I was in my second year in engineering, and next year I was going to choose either continue communication or going to computer engineering.
Right.
And instead of going to my class, because I'm clumsy and I never pay attention to things,
Of course.
I entered the wrong class, and I realized like 20 minutes in that this is the wrong class. It was an operating system class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then that's it. Like, after I exit this class, missing my whatever class it was, it's like, I'm going to go to computers. Like, that's it. Computers is for me.
Man, that reminds me. So my dad is a dentist, right? And he had a clinic. So the clinic was like on the bottom floor, and we used to live. The house was on the top floor. So my dad had like 5, 6 computers in the clinic for every single like chair, dentist chair or whatever. And I would go and tinker and play with those computers. I would just go to System 32 and open a bunch of applications trying to find the game, and I would look for icons that looked interesting. If I found an icon that looked like a game and I liked, I double click on it. The issue is, apparently in Windows 98, if you open a bunch of programs that you don't know what they do, when you restart your computer, it's not gonna boot anymore.
And this is when your fondness of chairs began, right?
Of course, definitely. And so the computer guy used to live at the clinic from how many times he would, fixing. My dad was fed up. He was like, you know what? He went and bought a Pentium 1 used computer and was like, this is yours. I don't want to see you here anymore. The problem is, I wanted to play The Sims 1, and The Sims 1 needed a computer that's not Pentium 1, at least like Pentium 2 or 3. And so we'd go downstairs, put the CD in the clinic computer and play it there, and then, I would crash it. Yeah, good times.
You know, our families accused us, apparently not just me, a lot of ruining the computer, ruining the family computer.
Yeah.
There is truth to this. Like, we were the one actually ruining it. Like, we were denying it. At least I was denying it. But now that I look at it, like, I was the one ruining it. Like, all the time.
Yeah. Oh
like,
my
I
God.
think my brothers and sisters are not that into computer because of me. Because I was doing it all the time. And now I'm spending some time trying to fix it. So I'm the only one doing the computer because no one else is going to use it while it's being fixed. So I am to blame for them not using computers that much. Because most of the time it was just ruined because I was ruining it. And the audacity, man. They used to blame me for ruining it.
They didn't know. How dare they accuse you? They didn't know. They suspected, though.
I think they knew. Like, everyone knew. Like, if the computer is broken, it was me.
Right. Good times.
So this is how we both started programming. So it has nothing to do with games, right?
No, not really. I used to play a lot of games growing up, like Doom, Quake.
You're playing games, but not.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be game programmers, right?
No, I never even knew like programming an application was a thing. I didn't think about it at all up until
When was the first time you knew about what programming is?
Oh man.
When was the beginning?
The beginning was my first class. No. That was before. Okay, so I remember. Okay, so here's the thing. I went to a university that I didn't want to go to for two reasons. One, my high school grades were trash. I had like 74, 73, something like that, which is like a C, right? Which is very bad. Well, not very bad, but not great. Yeah. And so the university that I wanted to go to didn't accept me because my grades were bad. So I was forced to go to the other one. And I had to do a year of foundation. And the year of foundation is you do mathematics, mechanical engineering, aviation. You learn about because it's an aviation university. So you learn about the fuselage, what engines are, and so on and so forth. And so that's a year of foundation. But I knew that next year I was gonna go into software engineering. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna prepare, right? So I googled how to make an application on Google, and I remember the first application that I've ever made, which is Hello World, obviously.
Of course. Was it?
No, it was worse. It was basic. It was basic.
Before VB, it's the actual B.
Yeah, it's just a B. It was basic in 2010, and I still remember that video. It's still up on YouTube, and I still have it. I go to it every 2-3 years, or every time I tell the story, I go there. I make sure it's still there because that guy who was teaching basic, he's the reason I am where I am today. And I actually 3 years ago I tracked him down. I tried to find his email on YouTube, couldn't find it. I don't know how I ended up finding his like website. Went to his website and he had like a contact me section. Got his email, emailed him, and I was like, man, thank you so much. I am like, this is where I am today because of your video, because of that stupid basic. Because, dude, I remember that I was doing it in the library. The first time I ran that application, it actually printed Hello World. I was laughing hysterically in the library, and everyone was looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And so I emailed him. I was like, dude, I love, like, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, I mean, I'll probably be here.
I would
but
be an aviation engineer.
I would
Which is not a
definitely
bad
be
thing.
there.
Like if any aviation engineer out there, like you're doing awesome job, but like
Yeah,
once
but
you-
we earn more money.
yeah. And it's not just this. Like once you figure out that you are into programming, like you are into programming, like
You're
it
hooked,
just
yeah.
cancels everything else. Like it just that's it. Like this is
Exactly. Yeah. And so
Like-
getting that Hello World was like mind blowing. Like I've never experienced anything like that. I literally instructed the computer to do something that I wasn't able to do before, and so the joy of that it was mind blowing.
For
Yeah.
me, it was a little bit different. Like
Mm.
the origin story, like the villain origin story of me is not like in YouTube, or because back then there was no even YouTube. I'm a little
There
bit
was
older than you.
YouTube.
No, I'm a little bit older, so like back then I didn't have access to YouTube and everything was dial-up modem. So actually watching a video was not really
It
viable.
was a nightmare. Oh my god, sorry to cut you off, but I used to remember you had to let the video open, let it buffer, you go do something for 5 minutes,
Dude,
come back to watch it.
You had to let the image buffer. Like,
Alright, I didn't have that slow of an internet, alright?
yeah. So for me, like the first time I was introduced to programming, it was in high school.
Right.
I didn't understand shit
Mm.
at all. Like okay, first of all, like it was C,
Mm-hmm.
not basic. And it was a book I found in the metro station. A guy selling some books on the street. It was like
Right.
it was dirt cheap.
Right.
It was in Arabic, and it was مبادئ البرمجة, like introduction to programming. In C.
Right. Right.
And it's like
In
I didn't
Arabic.
understand anything. Like, I was amazed, and I really like what I'm reading. I didn't understand anything. I didn't even know how to like install the compiler or what is the compiler. Like it was,
Right.
it's just you're going to run this in a compiler. I read the book from cover to cover. I don't think I really understood anything, but it just stuck. Like I remember like reading stdio.h. Like what is studio? Like what does studio mean?
Yeah.
Like, why is it misspelled? Like, why did they misspell studio? Like of course it's not studio, it's standard IO.
Yeah.
This was the thing, like just reading this C book without even having a compiler, and this is my first introduction to programming. My
Right.
actual introduction to programming was also basic in school, but in school itself, like not going out of my way
Right.
to find it. Like it was, I think first year of programming, like we studied Boolean algebra,
Mm.
and the last lecture of Boolean algebra, we had like a programming class in basic.
Okay.
And you might ask, how Boolean algebra related to programming? Well, it is related, like it's Boolean, right?
Well, yes, yeah.
But it was not really bland. Like it was
Right.
just one of the professors just took it by force to like introduce us to programming. Like it was something like this
Was that in college or high school?
in college, yes.
Okay. All right.
Like I remember this because I remember this guy. Like this is one of the reasons I entered computer engineering is this is the guy I studied with the wrong class when I entered operating system.
Right.
And this is the guy who taught me like the beginnings of programming, even in C, not C, like it was Pascal.
Oh
It's
my
even
god.
older than basic. Like, but
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it was fun. Like he was a really fun guy. Like I really loved him. Like his name was Dr. Adil Khadr,
Mm-hmm.
and he was one of the best people who taught me in university. Like he's old, like everyone who taught me, so they
Right.
was using old paradigms and old everything. But
Right.
you know what? Programming is programming. Like even if you're whatever language
Right.
you're using, whatever paradigm, like is it functional? It's like programming is programming. Like it doesn't matter. Programming
Right,
is
right.
programming, right? So this is my origin story when it comes to programming. So,
Does HTML count?
does it? You tell me, does it?
Well, you see, I'm inclined to say no. But if it does count, then the first time I experienced programming was in high school, and I hated it because I was learning how to make a website, and I made, oh my god, I remember my assignment.
Did you use
My
marquee?
what?
The HTML tag that makes the text go from right to left?
Oh no no no. So my assignment was to make like a website, a nice website, where you can I don't know, I think it was like a form or something, or just make a website, right? And I made like this like humongous website where it was like a form, where you can go and just I sold a plugin, a form plugin, but I made it work, and I put a lot of effort into it. But in terms of design, it looked horrible. It was you knew it was made by a programmer, and so I added all these features. Yeah,
Back then,
sorry.
there was no really an option to not look horrible. Was there? Like, everything
Well,
looked
no.
horrible because you were not able to do images. Like there was not CSS back then.
There 2008 there was CSS around that time.
Man, you
Yeah,
are
it
much
doesn't.
younger than me.
I
Like, if
am.
high
How
school was
old are
2008, were you?
How
Like, when
old are you?
I started university when I was in 2006.
Oh yeah, no, I am much younger than you. Then I'm 29, so like, yeah, no,
Makes sense.
high school for me was like
This is why when you're saying YouTube, I was just confused. How did you
Yeah,
watch YouTube in first year of college? Like, there was not even YouTube back then.
my
There
first
was
year
YouTube.
college with 2010. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
makes sense. Like your timeline makes sense now. Like it
yeah.
didn't, but now it does make sense.
Well, anyways, so I added all these features and gave it to my lecturer, and she looked at it and she's like, not very good. Yeah, and then she went to another like student, and it was all pretty. It was like simple, like there were no features. It was just a simple website. And she looked at it. She's like, "Oh, look, look fantastic. This looks great." And I was livid. I was so angry because I put a lot of effort into this website. I added so many features, and it just didn't look
Engineers
good.
versus designers. Like from a
Right.
young age. Like your engineers versus designers.
I was so angry. So I was so angry. I was so angry. I remember end of school that day. I went on every single computer lab, and I disabled the desktop. So when you first, I wrote a script to make it so when you boot the computer, it would kill explorer.exe, right? And it would, and I changed the background image to "I hate this lab" or something along these lines, or "hacked" or something like that. I did it on every single computer. The next day, yeah, like this is Mustafa. How did you know it was me? He's the only one who can do this. I got punished for like a week.
When
Yeah.
did you realize that actually your teacher was right and having one polished single feature is better than having
I
100
remembered.
unpolished ones?
I figured that out when I started teaching, and there's a student in my class who went through the same exact thing I went through when I was in high school. He added so many features to his game, and like it worked. It was unpolished. It was buggy. It wasn't great. And then he expected to get an HD because he added so many features. Where another game, his very simple game but super polished, and that game got like a very good grade, right? And when that happened to him, and he was complaining to me about it, I was like, "Yeah, all right,
Yeah.
I have
Been
been
there,
in that
done that.
situation." Yeah,
A lot of people don't realize this, but you actually learn a lot by teaching. Like
yeah,
teaching is one of those things that like teaches the teacher. Like if this makes sense.
exactly. Yeah,
And like this is not just in the soft skills or like not just realizing things or realizing your mistakes, realizing your errors in your way. This happens a lot when teaching because you
Yeah.
see someone who's just like you when you're young and he's like,
right.
so this is why everyone was mad about me. Like, it
Yeah.
makes sense now.
Yeah.
without this experience, you would still be the same salty person who thinks that
Exactly.
teachers are the same. But not just
Exactly.
this, like when you are teaching, like you have to learn way more than we are working.
Yep.
Like this is something that I learned like when I joined a startup company. While after a while of teaching game development, I joined a startup company. I was like, and this startup company had people who were geniuses, like they knew everything, and like I would just know some things that they didn't know even existed because they didn't need to. Like we've been
Right.
doing it from the start, and now this extra feature was added to the engine, or this extra thing was added to language. Like they don't have to know about this extra things because they already know the workarounds. They already know how to finish things, right? They
Right.
already know everything. So why bother? Like why bother? Like they don't need to. Like, but I need to because I'm teaching this. Like I have to
Right.
learn extra stuff because I will be asked a lot of questions that will make me just think I'm dumb. Like
Yeah.
I had students that ask questions like, "Where did you come up with this question?" And now I go and research to figure out what is going on. Like
Yeah.
teaching teaches you. Like teaching teaches.
Exactly. Like,
My advice to
it's
anyone: teach.
100% definitely, because here's the thing. Sometimes when you're programming something and you're too lazy, at the end of the day it's like 5 p.m. You just want to fucking go home and watch some Netflix, and you want to implement that little feature. Go on Stack Overflow, and he had that answer. Copy the code, or copy that line of code, paste it. You can skip shortcuts like these, but you can't really do that when you're teaching because you have to explain it to someone, right? If you don't understand it, you can't explain
And
it.
they will know.
They will
If you don't
definitely
understand
know.
things, they will know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so, you have to make sure you fully understand everything. And
Even
even if they
it,
don't know, they will ask. Like they will ask
yeah,
questions that you don't ask. Like you will
yeah.
never ask yourself like why this is the case. Like, but they will ask because they are beginners. Like, and this is
That's
the thing.
true.
Like dealing with beginners is a learning experience in itself.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm more of the person that I always like try to deep dive into topics. If I'm learning something, I just do my absolute best. I know people who just, hey, I want this to work. Now it works. I don't need to understand it. I don't care, right? I know those kind of people, and I'm sometimes like that when I'm tired. I just want to get the thing done. But most of the time, I try to deep dive into things and understand how they work on the inside. But yeah, teaching definitely you need to learn the inside. Yeah.
And it helps profession, not just like in the technical aspect. It helps in the dealings with people aspect as well. Like because you will be dealing a lot with people who are not the same level as you, like not
Right.
same seniority, not even a junior, like they are below a junior. So
Right.
to an extent, like you have to learn how to deal with this. So one of the things that is bugging me actually is whenever I go to a job or do anything, like I end up teaching more than working somehow.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because like I'm so used to being a teacher, man. It's like
Yeah.
this is the only constant thing in my career is have been teaching. Like,
Yeah.
everything else changed, but teaching didn't. Like
Yeah.
even if I'm working a full time, I'm working like a part time as a part time teacher. If I'm doing like
Yeah.
teaching is a constant for me, so I can't get rid of it.
No,
Which
teaching
is
is
nice
great.
if you have a lot of genius in your team. But if you are
Yeah.
in the team where you are the least experienced one,
Oh,
then
that's
it
yeah.
just everything sucks because like especially like when you're dealing with people who like are much better than you technically,
Mm.
but they're not good teachers.
Right.
Because
Right.
personally, like everyone is a good teacher with practice. Like teach enough and you will be a good teacher. Like this is something that you will suck at the first time. Like
I don't believe that. There are some really horrendous, horrible teachers because teaching requires a bit of patience.
yeah, like speaking of horrendous teachers, like I think you are talking about university, right?
I mean, university, high school, I've had teachers who just didn't explain anything or just didn't care about the subject. They didn't know what
I
the
think
hell
this
they're
is the
talking
issue.
about.
Like they don't care.
Yeah,
Like they just like teaching for the sake of teaching.
yeah.
Like I had a teacher that I really didn't like in college, and at one point he was teaching us a unit without naming names. Like I just went and asked him like, why are you teaching this unit?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is there was no one else to teach it, so I just taught it. Like you would tell
Yeah,
in the class that he hated. He hates what he's
yeah,
teaching. Like he just hates this unit. And
yeah.
as a consequence, all of us hated him because
Yeah.
he didn't like what he was doing. Like,
Yeah.
and the reason
Exactly.
is like there was no one else to teach it, and like life must move on. So someone had to take the blame, take the hit, and I took it. And it's like I didn't
It's
expect this
very
answer, but it makes sense.
yeah. It's very sad that teachers are like really underpaid.
Yeah,
When they put a lot of effort into a certain subject or a topic, like sure, if a teacher's not great and he just doesn't care, but like you're teaching a generation. You're responsible for the next generation of like the workforce. You're supposed to know what the hell you're doing. But at the same time, if they do, they're undervalued and underpaid, which is not great, right?
yeah.
So
Which is like why eventually everyone who teaches stop teaching at one point, or just
yeah,
continue working underpaid and do something else on the side.
yeah.
So
No, teaching as a full time is just the worst idea in the world. While teaching is absolutely fantastic, if you want to get
it cannot be. It can be your only thing. Like this is like it can be your only thing. Like it really depends on your style, your lifestyle, or what you are spending on.
I
But it's
suppose,
like,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, like it's if you look at being a teacher and working as a developer, you'll find that
Div-
financial wise, being a developer will always be being a teacher.
always, always.
So this is the thing. Like, so if you are going to be a full time teacher, which is a good thing to do, I've been a full time teacher for a while. Like, not doing anything other than teaching. Like I've done this multiple times.
Mm.
It's just you have to stop thinking about like the wasted opportunities that you are wasting, because otherwise you will be miserable. Like because you will be wasting a lot of opportunities because you love teaching, right?
I suppose, but still, I feel like teachers should be paid more. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
because I'm a teacher,
They
because I'm
should.
doing something else.
They
Yeah,
should. Like I
they
agree.
should.
Like teaching is one of the things that should be higher paid than this, because
Ha-
you are what making the
Impacting.
next generation. Right?
Yeah,
Like, you are
you're
what
impact.
building
You have
everything. Like you are the
you
builder.
have yeah, you have a huge impact. Like you shouldn't be undervalued at all. But here's the thing. Okay, so teaching at college and teaching at high school level, or like school level, is two completely different experiences.
Have you
Two
ever tried teaching
very
children?
Oh my god, I have. Okay, so the university that I teach at. Are we gonna name names? I don't think we're gonna name. Are we?
Let's do something. Like I think we are getting sidetracked a little bit. We are talking about
We
beginning.
are. We
Let's
are.
follow the spider to teaching later. Like
All right. You know what?
Follow the spider to teaching.
You know what? I agree. Let's end it at teaching at high school and university. Completely different experiences. High school is way worse, but All right.
The older
Cool.
the students, the better. Like let's just put it like. The
I
more
think
mature they are.
Yeah, I think we got sidetracked from the story
Beginning.
of the HTML.
The story of
Yeah, the HTML
the
story.
Like we need to know the origin story. Like
Yeah,
people
of
listening to
course.
this podcast need to know what is when you finally become a super villain. Like what caused it? So when did it all start? So when did it all start, Mr. Mustafa?
It
When did you
started
decide-
with teaching a high school class. It was the worst
This is
experience of my life.
We are sidetracking again. Okay, I'm going to say this story because like it's related to this. I was working as teaching in a job and I really loved it. I loved everything about it and I loved it every day. One of the
Right.
days that made me go, what am I doing with my life? I was teaching 10 years old,
Right.
and like this realization, what am I doing with my life? I'm going to leave this. Because I was teaching 10 years old and like I've been teaching for 2 weeks, and a student came and told me like someone closed my PC. Okay, open it. How? And I was like, what? You never opened your PC? And I was like, when I came, it was open. And he was like, so, do you understand anything I taught? Like, okay, it's fine. I'm not shaming anyone. Like, it's fine to
Right,
learn
right.
something for the first time. This happens. Like,
Right.
This happens a lot. But it's like I have been teaching programming, and it's like,
Right.
and I just realized, what is happening to the new generation?
It,
It's like I'm not blaming them. Like for them, their computers is their iPad and phones. Like
right.
they just use phones and iPad. They didn't need to use. They don't need to use computer. Like
Right.
they can be very smart and they can be googling stuff and learning things, and they can do it all from this this
Right,
little
right.
device here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. It's fine, but like, you should really learn how to use a computer. If you're a parent, like, take your phone take your phone from your children and give them a computer. Like, please,
Please. Please.
they will learn way more if they know how to use a computer. Don't give them an iPad. Don't give them a tablet. Don't give them a phone. Give
For
them
the
a
love
PC.
of God, take them out of social media if they have social media. Kids should not be on. Adults should not be on social media. Like,
Buy them a Raspberry Pi. Like, it's super cheap. Like, if
Yes.
computers are expensive, get them a Raspberry Pi. It's
dude, I remember. I remember when my dad was like, "Here, take this." He threw it on me. It's like a, okay. It was in Saudi Arabia. We called it sakhar. That's like a Commodore
Very old
64. I think it was this Commodore 64. He just threw it at me, or I started doing stuff with it, right? Just exploring and open it.
you have
Kids,
more
don't do that.
More options
Yeah.
other than swiping and scrolling.
Fucking hell,
Like, make
man.
you just dumb scrolling.
It.
I'm to blame for this as well. I do a lot of scrolling. I got into YouTube Shorts and like
Oh
I'm
no,
embarrassed
the
with that.
devil. Oh no, what have you done? Blasphemy.
yeah, it's bad, man. Like, just
We're getting
imagine,
sidetracked again.
Yes, we're getting sidetracked again. I'm not talking about the next generation. Later, we do follow the spider to the next generation.
Right,
For now,
right,
it's just
right.
origin story. Man, when did you start game programming? Like, when did game programming start?
I think so. After doing that program in the library, I started doing my C++ class. It was my first class, was Introduction to Programming in C++. It was a horrible class. I mean, the teacher was nice, right? The content was bad because it was a 4-month class, right? It's a semester. In one semester, we only got up until functions. That's the last thing it was a very bad class, but I learned stuff. Like,
And you enjoyed
to be
it.
fair, I enjoyed it. So, but here's the
Think
thing.
about programming. Like, you find
Yeah.
half the class enjoying themselves and everything is super easy, and the rest of them, like, just
Right.
memorizing the applications, how to write.
Yeah.
Just memorizing
Yeah.
everything. Which is
Oh
weird.
no,
Never
that was bad.
memorized programming.
That's true.
Anyway, man, I cut you. Continue.
So I remember. So I would be in class. My teacher would be like, "Here, print something on the screen, or let's do this calculator." Oh my god, I have a story for calculator. So I remember. So do this thing, and I would do it. I would do it in like 2 seconds or a minute or two, and the rest of class takes like half an hour to do it. I'm like, ugh. So what do? I just go to board.com and I'll play Flash games. And my lecturer would always, he was like, "Mustafa, what are you doing? Stop it." I was like, "I'm done." He was like, "Okay, good job, but stop it. What if someone walks in the classroom?" "I don't know. I want to play." what do you want? I have nothing to do. What do you want to do? Give me something else. So the class was too easy. So what I would do then, I would just go home on my own, learn SFML and SDL, and like Google how to make games. Oh, it took me like 2 weeks, or 2 weeks is too long. Maybe a week or a few days to learn to pick the best language for programming. I went from Python to C to C++ to Java with all the answers on the internet and read a bunch.
This language
Yeah,
is debatable. But
exactly.
there's no
But
such thing.
but see, as a beginner, that's what you do. What is the best language
Yeah,
for
this is
programming,
what
right?
you search
Exactly. What is and you read these articles, and people are like, "That's the wrong
People are
question."
so opinionated and so it's like,
Tell me
there is
about it.
Programming language racism.
Right.
You'll find that Python racist. Like, Python
Right.
master race. Everyone else is stupid. Like, Python is the only language you should learn. And then you'll find
Exactly.
the C elitist who's like,
Right.
if you're not programming in C, you are stupid and you don't understand the magnificence of C.
Right. And so most of the articles that I read, they were like, "Okay, your first language should not be C++. You should not do C++." Motherfucker, I want to do C++. I don't care. It's the best language. It's what AAA titles are being taught. So I did C++, big mistake. Very big mistake. Did C++, started learning game development on my own with like SFML and SDL. And I would come to class every single day, and I would show my lecturer, my teacher. She was awesome, by the way. I would show her what I'd done at home. And so the thing that I would do, as far as I went with game development, I remember that trimester was have a background, and music in the background, and just a character that goes right, left, up, and down with animations, which was mind blowing. The fact that I did that in 4 months was crazy. Yeah, so
Man,
that's when I
just
started.
back to our previous point.
Yeah.
A good teacher is someone you'll always remember.
Yes, I
A
agree.
good teacher is someone you will never forget.
I
You
agree.
remember this teacher. Do you remember your bad teachers as much?
God no, I know.
It's like
Nope.
they are there, but they're a little bit hazy. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no.
they leave a mark, man. They do leave a
Exactly,
mark.
they really do. She encouraged me so much to. I would go to her and ask her about like kernel programming questions and ask her what a kernel is, or like how do you do Windows API stuff. She didn't know, obviously. She just introduction to programming, but she was like, dude, just. You're too early. Like, you're asking these questions. We're doing variables. Calm down.
Wait.
I want to know. I want to consume. And we have a lot of students like this in our classes too, which is awesome. But like, shut the fuck up. Wait, we're getting there.
You are ruining
Yeah.
the experience for the rest of them.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like having a good student in your class is great for the teacher.
It
It
is.
just makes
Yeah.
the teacher like just
Yeah.
over the top, and it's like love teaching and love giving them information, love helping
True.
them. But it's terrible for the rest of the students.
It really is. And it can sometimes be tiring to tell them just, okay, I know you're excited. I know you know these things. Just hold on. We're getting there. You know, it's
And
exhausting.
they want, like, they are overachievers. Like, they love this thing.
Yeah,
Like, they
yeah.
found their calling. Like, that's like,
Yeah.
this is my calling. I'll do this. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I'll do it for the rest of my life. But like being in the same scenario as you, like, and after being a teacher, I now realize I ruined the experience for a lot of my peers. Like,
Yeah.
because at one point, like, some of them will be like, we'll never be as good. Like, why bother?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's very demoralizing. And you will find this a lot in classes where you have an overachiever and a good student. Over time, this good student will be less and less and less because the other guy is doing things way faster and way better. And it
Right.
will end up like this guy who used to be good is no longer good because of that.
But it's a
you
shame,
cannot
though.
control it. Like, this is the thing.
Yeah.
You cannot control what. You'll always have a student in your class that just does everything and just like, we learned about if statements. Okay, I'm going to go and create 5 games with using only if statements. And, like, I have seen this. Like, I've seen students
Oh
who just
my
go
God.
and go home. It's like they just learned if statements and variables and they create things. They don't even know anything about functions and they repeat their codes all over the place.
Oh
It's like,
my God. I was that. I have a story for that.
my when I was studying image processing,
Hmm.
like, we're using C++ to do image processing
Right.
with OpenCV, I think. Yeah, OpenCV. I remember my code used like tons of gotos because I wanted to do recursion.
Right.
Like, the way I thought about the solution was recursive,
Right.
and the image was huge, so Stack Overflow. So how did I manage it?
Go to.
Way too much go-tos and a stack that is in the heap. So it's like, I learned how to do stacks, and I learned something that they taught us in class and told us, never use this. This is go-to. Never use it. It's like, make it work. Of course, there is other ways, like you can
Right.
always do it with loops, right? But I
Right.
didn't. I just used go-tos, and it worked.
In assembly,
worked.
it's the only way to do it, though. In assembly. Yeah.
And the teacher was like, you know, he's like, he didn't have words when I delivered this. Like, he's like, no, it works, and it's like, but no, like,
Blasphemy.
don't do this. Like, I will not accept this. Like, do something about it. Like, he's like,
Right.
use object oriented, and he's like, and I did it again with object oriented programming. It was procedural in the beginning. Like, I learned a little bit of, of course, I don't know object oriented by then.
Right.
I didn't know polyomorphism. I just knew the classes and organized. I did it with classes and with go-tos.
Right.
Like, it was. And I was like,
Oh, man.
just do it differently. It's like, it works.
Ah.
Like, this is how I know how to do it.
I remember that same semester, my lecturer, she gave us an assignment to convert like hexadecimal to binary. That's it. Hexadecimal. Sorry, no. Decimal to binary. Decimal to binary. That's it. It was supposed to be a very small assignment. I went home that day and I did hexadecimal. I did binary. I did octa. I did decimal. Right? Not only those, but what she said, she was like, she will only want up until like 3 characters. So 000, 001, up to 3. I give them the option up until 8. Okay? My program ended up being 45,000 lines of code. All F statements. All F statements. I showed her that and she was, what did you do? I did that in 8 hours.
You just wait a little bit and you learn about loops and this will solve all your
I learned about loops and functions that reduced to like 100 lines of code.
You were not supposed to do this. Like, we taught you this class to later show you loops and tell you, see, it's just much easier.
You're supposed to wait. But I got excited. 45,000 lines of code.
Yeah.
That is insane.
My villain story when it comes to game programming,
Yeah.
like when it started, like this is not me realizing I want to go to game programming. I still like even after this, like this is my first game. But
Right.
after this, I was like my plan was to be a web developer. That later
Right.
changed to be an embedded developer. That later changed again to be web developer, and finally it became game programmer. My first game was we were studying computer graphics at school using OpenGL and not SFML. It was OpenGL Legacy. It was Vertex V, Vertex
Oh,
UI,
wow.
Vertex
Yeah.
Y, Vertex Y, things like this. Which was fine. Like it's like non-programmable shader. Like it just
Right.
fixed the
It worked.
fixed pipeline.
Fixed
Anyway,
pipeline.
so back then I was playing a lot of Sukuban. Sukuban is a
You're
puzzle
playing
game.
what?
Sukuban. It's a puzzle game.
Sukuban?
Yes, it's a puzzle game I had on my phone where you just
Okay.
push blocks. You are playing as something that pushes blocks. You can just
Okay.
push. So it's a puzzle
Okay.
game. You're just supposed to
Right.
put things in the end. So I started to do Sukuban. So I started by making a small, like, sort of level editor. Not a level editor, of course, it's not a level editor, just a file that reads and it's just 1 means block, 2 means
Right.
wall, 3 means the characters. things
Oh,
like that.
that's cool. Okay.
And I did the game and this was fine. And then I got the jar file for the game I had on my mobile, extracted this, and I found 100 levels. And when I opened it, it was a text file level.
Right.
All of them was text file.
Right.
I found that those text file have different symbols. It was following the same idea I had, but different symbols. So I just
Right.
changed my application to use this file, and I got the 100 levels and placed them in the game. And it's like, that's it. Like, and I remember the game was 100 levels. Of course, I didn't
Oh
do
my
any of
God.
them, but I did
Yeah.
100 levels. I was so proud of myself with this little thing, but I didn't consider being game programmer.
Right.
What made me be a game programmer is, again, me not planning anything and not doing anything. I was a teacher back then, teaching compiler design and computer graphics, strangely enough.
Right.
And one of the students, like in Egypt, there is an institute called ITI. ITI is the best thing that happened to me.
Okay.
Like I learned a lot there. I learned that I didn't know anything there. But anyway, like I applied to ITI as an embedded software. I didn't even consider game. Like I
Right.
applied as an embedded software engineer. They were going to learn me how to teach me how to be an embedded software, and I failed. Like it's a government-backed program, and it's like they only take like 20 students or something like this every 9 months. So it's a very contested segment.
Right.
But then one of my students was like, there is the open game programming in ITI. I gave up on ITI because I failed already, and this is it. Like you had only one chance, and it's like
Right.
they opened it for another chance, like the open game programming, and you can go even if you passed your chance. And I was like, okay, I'll go and apply. And I
Right.
applied and I got in. So, and then I became a game programmer. It was not planned. It was not anything. Like, and the students told me this because they know I love games and I love programming, and it's like
That's cool.
I used to play a lot of Dota back then.
Oh my God. Oh my
Way
God.
too much Dota. I was not good at it, but I was playing so much Dota. I was the ones that made the team lose.
You
I
were
was the
the
one
noob.
getting reported at the end by both
Right.
teams.
Nice. Nice.
I love games. this doesn't mean I'm good at games. I just love them.
Right. Of
I love
course.
playing them. I'm bad at them, but I love playing them. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's finish with something fun. Teaching.
Uh,
Like,
you
I
want
think
to
this is a
teach?
teaching
Okay.
stream.
All right. What
What
do you
is
want
your
to
origin
teach?
story for becoming a teacher?
Oh, my origin story. Okay. This is a fun one. So in 2012, I had one more year to do my bachelor's, right? To finish my bachelor's, with software engineering bachelor's. And I was like, okay, what I want to do is open a game studio. Because in 2012 there was the whole indie game development movement. Minecraft was exploding. What
Limbo
else?
and
Limbo and yeah, all these games,
Fez.
right? Yeah, Fez, Fez.
I hate Fizz, by the way, but continue.
Fez is nice. The guy who made Fez is questionable,
Fizz is a really nice premise.
right?
This premise is super, like, it can be anything. I hate the pacing of Fizz.
Why?
So slow, man. Like, it's not picking up fast enough. Like, it's like, the flow of games, like, it have to go up
Right.
and down, up and down.
Right.
This one was just. I know at one point it becomes better, but I never reached this point. I
Right.
want to play you. I really love the mechanic, and I really think this is something that have huge potential.
Right. It's too slow.
Pace, man. Is there a way
Yeah.
to make the game faster? Like, this was my thing. Like, can I press a button to make the game go
I don't think
200%
so. No.
somehow?
No. Anyway, so I did. I wanted to open a game studio, and I was like, okay, we're gonna make games now. I'm gonna be these guys. They made Minecraft. They made Fez. They can do it. I can do it. Open the game studio. Super delusional, by the way. Spent like 4 years making a tower defense game that is multiplayer in C#. Well, I started in C++, then converted to C#. Then I started making an engine in C# to support my game. So I made the game. It worked. Took a long time in SFML, in XNA, C#. And then I switched to mono game. It was a whole thing. Anyways, took 3 years. Learned a lot from that project. At the same time, playing League of Legends every single day. That was my life. It was League of Legends programming. League of Legends programming. Yeah, and I couldn't get jobs at all. I'm a junior. There was no game development industry in the UAE at all. There was no one in 2012, zero. And so game studio is not working. I ended up like doing a bunch of freelance projects, which we'll talk about like later. So it's like one day, Twitch is exploding. I watch Twitch all the time, watch League of Legends players. But they added this category for game development. I was like, you know what? It would be fun. It's like stream programming and like stream a game. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna start from scratch, and I have this project. I'm gonna completely start from scratch and stream it. And I did that. I would get like at my highest. I remember would get 30 views on one stream. And I really loved like the community, and the people would come on stream, ask questions, and I would answer those questions. And the community and camaraderie of doing these things, it was really, really fun. I was like, okay, I think I want to be a teacher. Teaching seems fun. If I can't program, if there's no game development industry, maybe we should teach. And I'm good at it. I remember teaching in college, my students, helping my teammates program stuff. So I was like, okay, let's apply to a few universities, and I see the requirements: PhD. Like, all right, we're not teaching. That's not happening. So at the time, I was also learning. Like, I finished that project. Well, not finished it, but I was done with it. I started learning C++ and engine development, and I was learning from this guy called Cherno. Cherno is an awesome guy, by the way. He's a developer. He used to be a developer at EA in Australia. And so one day he was like, you know what? There's this global game jam that's happening around the world. And I was like, what the hell is a game jam? Googled it. I was like, okay, is there any game jam here in Dubai? Let's see. And I found the university that's hosting the game jam. Okay, let's go there. I was so hesitant to go on my own. I was
Fear of
very social.
being the bad apple, like no one will accept you. I'm
Exactly.
bad.
Anxiety,
Guys,
social
don't do
awkwardness.
this. Like, don't do this. If you are bad, no one will notice. Like, the worst that
Yeah.
can happen is that no one will notice you are there. Like, go to game jams. Go to things that you are afraid of. It's fine. Like, nothing will
Definitely
happen.
go to game jams.
Your brain is trained, like, it's trained to make you feel things. Because
Right. Yeah.
don't, like, just stop. Do it. Just do it.
Just do it. So, anyways, eventually, after like almost not going twice, I eventually went there. I was talking to one of the lecturers there, and like, I'm interested in teaching. Teaching is fun. And then he was like, okay, cool. 30 minutes later, he tells me, hey, my manager wants to talk to you. And inside me, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, am I getting a job? Am I teaching? Chill, keep it cool, it's fine, it's fine. What does he want? Oh my god, am I getting a job? And so I go and talk to the guy. He was like, we heard you like teaching, and have you done what project have you done? And I made a client, a game for a client who's like in Unity, a multiplayer game for a Singaporean client. And so I showed him on my phone my Note 3 back then. I was like, here, my Note 3, here's this game. And it's like, oh, cool, okay. Well, you seem interesting. You seem like you know what you're doing. We'll let you know about an interview. I was like, oh my God, yes, that's cool. A month later, I emailed him. I was like, any update on the interview? He was like, don't worry, the trimester is ending. So just, give it a bit more time. 2 months later, he tells me to come for an interview. I do my first interview, they like me. Second interview, they like me. Third interview, they like me. Fourth interview, I sit down, technical interview, technical questions. He's like, do you know what a function is? I was like, yeah, I know. I explain what a function is, and I also tell him, hey, I have a game engine on GitHub. He was like, oh, you have a game? Okay, cool. No more questions from me. That was Ahmed, by the way, who interviewed me. Yeah. So yeah, and then I got the job, and when I went to HR to ask about the salary, she was explaining it very weirdly. She's like, you'll get like 500 like per session, or you're getting this amount per session, right? And I was like, what? So what's like, you're doing all this math. What's the salary? Like, what's happening here? She was like, there's 14 sessions. You're getting, what is the salary? And she's like, well, if you combine all of these, you get this. I was like, okay. And I was so confused. Like, a trimester, after I went in and I finished the trimester, I understood that I'm working part-time, not full-time. I taught there for 3 months before I understood that I'm working part-time. I was like, okay, it makes sense why it's happening this way now. Yeah. And so that's how I got the job, from a game jam.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, moral of the story, go to game jams.
Definitely go to game jams. You make so many connections. You get to meet so many good people.
In the industry,
yeah,
like, if
definitely.
There's any event in an industry you want to work on, just go. Like,
yeah, it's fun. You get to meet people. You never know what happens.
It's hard in the beginning. Like,
very hard. Oh my God, super hard. Anxiety filling.
Especially because like you will find a lot of people talking to each other, and it's like,
definitely.
who will I talk to? And now
so
like,
awkward.
The way I do it, I'm still awkward at this. I just find people who are talking. I just stand in the middle of them, listening to this and listening to this, waiting for the moment to jump in with my take on it. Like, just
who are you? Where did she come from?
Talking about something like they know each other, but most of the time, like people just bump into each other and just talk. Like, it doesn't. This is how it works.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I wanted to go with my origin story as well, but I think it's boring in comparison.
Oh, please, no, go do it.
For me, I just used to teach a lot to my peers. Like, I just have sessions at my house. They will all come to my house after the class, and I just teach them the same thing again.
Right.
So, this is how I started teaching. But how I started teaching is like in the university I graduated from. Like, I was not a teacher. Like, I was not the first on class. I was the third in class. And the first of class got another opportunity, so he contacted me and told me like they need someone because I'm leaving, and I was like, okay, I went. They interviewed me, I'm in. Like it's super boring. This is how I started teaching.
I see. Someone recommended you. Cool.
Yes.
I see. Yeah. I mean, that's same thing. Someone recommended me. If it wasn't for that guy, yeah, I wouldn't be a teacher. I owe him.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
teaching changed you probably, but
Oh, definitely.
let's just call it a day because I think we went over 1.5 hours already. Like
an
very
hour
long-
and 5 minutes.
1 hour of only 1 hour and 5 minutes. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know when we started because I was looking at like we're supposed to start at 5:15 and now it's 7:15.
Yeah.
So we 2 hours.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of technical difficulties and I think it's
Yeah, that's true.
true.
Yeah.
So let's call it an episode of
All
All of
right.
the Spiders.
Let's do it.
And yeah, our plan is to do this once
Once a week. Oh, what, dude? Once 2 weeks?
Okay.
We
are not
see,
thinking
we
about
don't know the
plans.
plan. We don't know the plan.
Hopefully we will like do it.
All
once a week
right.
if we can.
All right, sure.
Yeah. Let's see.
Probably once
I
every
really
2
enjoyed
weeks.
it. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
me too. It was
I think
fun.
we should really consider doing this more.
Oh, we'll definitely do.
Yeah. See you guys next time, I guess.
All right. Bye bye.